Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, we're excited again to be tuning into the ABC's Golden Bachelor and following along with widower Gary Turner's senior dating journey. Now he's engaged and getting ready in January to have a honeymoon in Italy, and we'll be discussing that on the show and some of the other issues. We want to remind you that these shows are brought to you by the Open Hope Foundation with the mission of helping people find hope after loss. And the Golden Bachelor is a huge example of people finding hope after loss. Frank and I, my partner, my fiance, who's going to be on the show later, he and I have written a book called Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating. So we really tune into this whole thing and know that there are many of you that have had a loss. So today, Heidi, we're going to give people 3 tips for dealing with not being the chosen one, as Leslie wasn't.
I'm honored to interview you, Mom, and your fiance, Frank Powers, Dr. Frank, also known as the Dating Doctors, regarding the ins and outs of finding hope and love after loss. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Heidi.
Welcome to the podcast. They were going down a road, Leslie and Gary together, and she really felt like he was the one and that she was going to get that rose, and she didn't. 12 hours later, he was telling her that he was in love with somebody else, Teresa.
And she actually had gone out and started looking for wedding dresses. So
exactly.
It's a huge disappointment, I'm sure, for her.
You know what I was struck by as a widow myself, that it was like a death. I mean, for Leslie, it was really traumatic.
I mean, she was devastated by what happened.
Yes, that he told her that she wasn't the one and the chosen one, but he picked Teresa. And if you haven't followed it, Teresa is a widow and he's a widower.
Yeah.
And so they're coming together. And Frank and I always thought from the very beginning that he might pick a widow.
I hate to brag, but I did pick Teresa from the very beginning.
You did. You were right.
I did. It would be I thought they had so much in common, and their personalities are similar. And one of the things that your mother and I have really, in a sense, said in the book several different times is that when you're older, you really want to find someone who's really emotionally, spiritually, and physically similar to your way of doing things. Similarity and comfort is really important, especially in your senior years when you pick a partner.
And it sounded like, from hearing Teresa reveal a little bit about getting their boots together in the fantasy suite, it sounds to me like they were able to find some physical compatibility also.
I think, certainly from my point of view, and watching Teresa and watching Gary, I really thought that they were the most compatible. I do applaud him for picking someone who is emotionally, spiritually, and physically more attuned to him than almost anyone else that I saw on the program. Not every relationship, not every person that you're going to meet when you're dating, especially as a senior, is going to work for you.
But we've seen with a lot of women and men that they get involved in this relationship and they really fall for the person.
And they think that they're a failure. And that is one of the things I hope that we can change, that myth that you are a failure. You're a person who's putting your life out there. You're courageous. You're doing the right thing. You're looking for a love in your life. Not everyone's going to fit that bill. And you're not going to fit the bill for everyone out there either. So if you see it as, hey, this is me making an attempt to find the one in my life. And there's going to be times where the person finds something that they don't really want or need in their life. And you're going to find the person where they might not meet your needs and it might not be the right person. So you do have to deal with the fact that you will be rejected or you will reject the person.
And I think there's some things here that we can take from this show and from Leslie. The first thing is give yourself time.
Oh, absolutely.
She said, you know how shocked she was, and then it went over Thanksgiving, so she knew about it before then.
Yeah.
So
she had already started her healing process.
Yeah,
you saw her take this and say, you know what, this was still a worthwhile experience. And I think that's one of the things that we would suggest for people, to see this as an experience, and you're going to learn from it. You're going to become better able to pick the right person when that person shows up.
She said it took time for me to process. I thought that was really, didn't you think that was
well, yes, because at first she was really angry, and like you all said, don't look at this as such a failure. I mean, Leslie said most of the time things don't go my way in terms of relationships. Like, this always happens to me. She really did look at it as herself as a failure. But over time, like you said, she started to, I think, change that.
Yeah.
Well, our second point is to try to put things into perspective and learn from the experience. So I'm hoping that Leslie won't just say, oh, this is another failure. She'll put it in perspective. I was courageous. I stepped out. I did this. I tried a new thing.
And she did say that she's even more determined to find the love of her life.
And learn from the experience, because I would say if she's going online, and hopefully she will, she probably want to change her profile a little bit, maybe to more of what she wants. And yeah, because the women on the show are all trying to mold themselves to what Gary wants. I mean, that's my thought. And she really needs to look at now what she wants. Maybe she even needs to look at what she didn't like about Gary. So I don't know. That's have you got a thought on that, Heidi?
I like that idea. Like you said, what does she actually want? And she did say, which I thought was really good, we were off to a great start. Where did we go wrong? Because she wanted to learn from this relationship so that she doesn't repeat it next time.
Right. Exactly. I know. I love that you said repeat it next time. Exactly. That's what we want. Come back in. And our third point is to keep your heart open to new possibilities.
And see it as an educational experience, like you said, Heidi, because you really do learn a lot. If you put yourself out there and something doesn't work, hopefully you can learn from that, and the next time be able to find the person that more suits you or you suit them.
Yeah. And I like how they said at the end of the show, there's no age limit. If you have love to give, do it.
Yes,
absolutely. I really like that also. In the book, we talk about the leave-or in our book, Open to Love, Secrets of Senior Dating. We talk
the leavee.
Yeah, the leave-or, leavee. The leave-or is the one who leaves. And they've got a plan, they've got an option. He's got Teresa out there. So it's going to be a lot easier for him. And if you're left, it's tough. It's tough.
It is harder. And we hope that the learning curve will be stronger for those people who really, in a sense, look at themselves, try to assess what went on, what worked, what didn't work, because there's many things that did work between Leslie, and you want to be just as happy about the things that did work as the things that did not.
Yeah.
And you want to learn from both.
Give yourself credit. Yeah, absolutely.
Leslie has a lot of life to live, and she was with Prince, so she's been in a relationship, but she's been in many relationships and has had 2 marriages. So, I think she was not only grieving the loss of Gary, but she was grieving the future she thought she was going to have with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, visiting the families in the first part of it. I mean, you're part of the family.
Yeah.
You imagine yourself there, and the families were so receptive to the lady.
And Gary's children and grandchildren really liked Leslie.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so she felt like everything was going in the right direction. And that happens frequently where things in the beginning look like they're absolutely beautiful, smooth sailing. And then things sometimes come up, and those are real. And you need to deal with those just as, hey, these are issues. I want to learn from this. This is an educational experience. I'm not a failure. I'm an adventurer on an adventure of finding the person in my life.
I love the adventure. Well, I think that we should make sure we end this podcast on a happy note, because we just saw a widow and a widower in past, middle age,
Yes.
who have found love. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
this is so cool.
Yes. And we want people to realize the opportunity is there. All you have to do is be courageous, like Teresa and like Leslie and like Gary, and put
like
yourself
us.
out there. And we are too.
Yeah, it's important not to give up on love, even if somebody has left you.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you have been hurt, and I guess we call it burned, if you've been the one that's left, we want to again remind you to give yourself time, put things in perspective, and try to learn from the experience. But the most important thing is to keep your heart open and look for new possibilities.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Dr. Gloria and Dr. Frank.
Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us on the show today. And Heidi and I and Frank always want to remind you that if you've lost hope that you're going to be able to find a relationship, please lean on ours until you find your own, and God bless.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.